this morning is Henry Tutu, Solid Waste Management Specialist with the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Good morning. How are you doing?
Thank you.
Why has it become necessary at this time of the year to be talking about behavioral change communication?
It has become necessary because, as we are all aware, the rains are here. They are almost here. And flooding is a big issue.
Right.
And within flooding, we have solid waste management challenges also as well. And so there's the need for a coherent strategy and a comprehensive one to tackle this menace before the rains take off.
Mr. Kisi, within the Gamma space, what's the plan?
Right, so this particular project is related to GARID, the Greater Accra Resilient and Integrated Development project. There are various interventions we are implementing. Hetty just talked about the solid waste management aspect, which does have a significant impact on flooding. You know, as you can see, whenever it rains, we see a lot of rubbish in our drains. So the drains that are supposed to carry water are not carrying solid materials.
That's right.
Yeah, so that is one aspect of what we are doing, you know, within the space to tackle the flooding. But there are other interventions, several others, which I'm sure in the course of our conversation we'll talk about them, unless you want me to talk about them now. Okay, ahead, so please. To tackle the flooding, I'll take a step back and talk about what the government is doing generally across the country, and then we can zoom into Greater Accra, or the capital city. So we have what we call the National Flood Control Program, which identify hotspots across the country, and we develop projects and implement them over time. Since 2018, the government has spent about 450 million Ghana cedis, you know, on that program. Then we also have the priority programs, which identify catchment-wide solutions, you know, for various areas across the country. Now, what we are doing now is a typical catchment-wide solution, which is focused on the Odo drainage channel, you know, starting from Ebri and running down through to the sea. Okay. And we have various interventions. We have the structural and non-structural measures. The non-structural measures we call FEWS, Flood Early Warning System. You realize that if people are aware that something bad is going to happen, they are able to take measures to protect themselves, to protect their loved ones, protect their properties, their livelihoods, and all of that. So we have the flood early warning system, which actually will cover the whole of Greater Accra region. And it will work in such a way that when there's a forecast of rain, our models will be able to predict which areas will flood, and people in those communities are informed in advance, so they take measures, you know, to protect themselves. So that's a non-structural measure. Then we have structural measures.
Quickly.
Yes. So structural measures. Structural measures. We have ponds. So we have the rain, the storm, the water coming down from Ebri. So we have storms upstream at Atomic, where we're going to hold the water, and then we have areas where the capacity of the drain is inadequate, like Kaneshi and Nima, so we're expanding capacity, and then we have to dredge the Odo. So we have a new approach we call performance-based dredging, not volume-based, not how much the contractor is able to take out of the channel, but being able to keep the channel performing at its optimum. So we call it performance-based dredging. Yeah. So those are some of the.
Henrietta, let me come to you and I ask you, for those who live around the Odo Basin, what should they be doing and thinking at this time?
What they should really be doing and thinking, and for which reason we are here, is that they have to understand that waste flows. Okay. So the waste that ends up in the Odo started from somewhere, and that somewhere can be in your house or in your office or in the school. And so it's important that we keep the waste together well, and it's given to designated collectors or service providers, as we call them, for them to be able to transport it to the designated facilities for disposal and treatment. Other than that, this waste will end up in the drains, it will end up in the open lands, the fallow places, and the water will actually take it into the drain, or it will then flow into the drain. So it's important that as citizenry, we keep our waste and give it out to designated collectors, both the informal collectors and then the service providers for transportation to the designated sites. And we play our part as citizens to ensure that we have a clean Ghana and then a clean Accra in that regard.
There's a campaign that's going to be launched tomorrow. Yeah. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so in essence, that's what the campaign is about. Okay. So the campaign is to raise the awareness of how the problem comes about and how we as citizens are contributing to the problem. And I've already mentioned that about the safe disposal or the appropriate disposal of your waste. And then also the role that the local governments or the municipalities are playing. And now there's an Operation Clean Your Frontage. Right. And then the fact that we as citizens need to take part in that exercise actively.
But they need to know the key activities that will mark this campaign, and then they can follow through.
Yeah, so one of the key activities is that tomorrow we are having a launch. And then in the launch, we are spelling out all the main activities that we'll be taking. One being that there will be some cleanup campaigns that will happen in the Garrett designated communities. We have 3 communities, Nima, Akwiteman, and then Alubushi. So that's one of those activities. We have buyback events where you can actually bring your recyclables to get some token of money and then use for other purposes. So we have the buyback events also as well. And then we have some recycling programs that would also take place as part of the campaign. We have school-based activities by bringing on board our school children and then sensitizing them on the role of plastic waste in flooding and how we can actually have a sustainable waste management system. So these are all part of the activities.
The key activities.
And then there are also some structural measures. Maybe Dr. Kisi has mentioned that. So for the structural measures, which are quite large-scale infrastructure, we have transfer stations that we are constructing currently at the GAEC atomic site.
Are they done? Or
no, they are yet to be constructed. So the transfer station is to sort of help us bridge the long distance that the Apoboyes and the Zoom Lions have to go to transport waste to the landfill sites.
They're more like holding centers.
Yeah, they're more like holding centers or transfer points. So they're mid between collecting from your house and taking it to the final designated site, which is about 100 kilometers away. So that's a long distance. So the transfer points are 40 kilometers, 30 kilometers, and so those are closer to your homes. And it helps us to collect more waste, and we have a quicker turnaround time. We also have an engineered disposal facility or landfill that we are also constructing to be able to process more waste that is generated.
Dr. Kisi, you would have the final word on this. I'm interested in the performance-based dredging that you spoke about. We see excavators around the Odo every now and then. Explain to me what this performance-based dredging is and how that is going to impact this whole campaign and the change of mindset and also bring respite to the people around that basin when it rains.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of how performance-based is going to be interacting with the other interventions, I think the other interventions are actually going to help us in saving money in the long term. If we dispose of less waste in the channel, there will be less waste to dredge. But performance-based dredging, this is how we can distinguish it from the normal way of dredging. Normally, the contractor will dredge a certain volume, and we pay the contractor by cubic meter. So if they dredge a cubic meter, we pay them a certain amount. Now we are saying that we want you to keep our channel performing. So we have determined silt levels. It shouldn't rise beyond this point. Is it when we go the way the channel works? Sometimes we will dredge one part. By the time we come back, the other part is silted. They have to come and dredge. So you just keep going up and down. Now with this, they will constantly be monitoring the channel from end to end, making sure
so that water flows constantly.
So making sure water flows constantly, and that is the whole idea. So the contractor will be paid based on the performance. If they fail, we deduct payment. If they perform very well, there's a little bonus to motivate the contractor. And we are far advanced in procuring a contractor for the performance-based dredging. We've gone through a procurement process. We are in the last stages, of negotiating the details of the contract.
But then you see, residents around the area, because I do a lot of community work, they also mentioned that the annual dredging or occasional dredging looks like a piecemeal solution to a bigger problem. They are looking at getting actualized, for example, the picture that was presented to them, that you have boats and canoes, you have, eateries around the place, the template that you showed, your office showed. They want to see it. They are tired of the dredging. So every time they told me, we are coming to dredge. They dredge, water flows, but
it comes back.
What next? If you want them to change their mind, you need to help them to change their mind, don't you think?
Yeah, that's right. That is a much larger, challenge that we have. So, for example, we have a lot of encroachers in that area, in that space. Right. There's very little you can do. I mean, even for the dredging activities that we are going to undertake, we have to relocate some people, and we have to compensate them. So if you look at the stretch of the channel, it's not going to be an easy task. But I think this is the first step, which is we are moving away from what we would normally do in a positive direction. And I'm sure as time goes on, as we engage more and more investors, as there's more and more interest, we will be able to get to the point where we can, actualize, some of these ambitions that we have here.
Thank you very much, Dr. John Kisi. He is a technical advisor with the Ministry of Works and Housing, and also Henry Talsay, Solid Waste Management Specialist, Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources. Expect the launch tomorrow. It will happen, and we're changing our minds. We're preparing for the rains, and we're moving all of us from alarm to safety.
And if I may chip in, please, it's 9 o'clock tomorrow at Obra Sport.
Obra Sport?
Yes.
In Nkrumah Circle?
Yes, Obra Sport.
Obra Sport, 9 o'clock. What should we wear?
Anything. Just come. We're expecting the Minister for Works and Housing, Minister for Local Government, and the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources.
Great. Thank you. We'll see you after the break.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.